Thanks, Basil. I just want to give you a bit of an insight into the Saturday afternoon team. We're a bunch of unique individuals.
Hello and welcome to episode 15, part 2 of the Unique Individuals podcast. Good to have everyone with me. Today, in this episode, we're going to be looking into the sport talk and obviously talking about what's been happening in the world of sport. Good to have everyone with me. Let's get straight into it. Obviously, cricket's been happening. It's been a long summer for Australia. And now we are playing India in the Border-Gavaskar Series. And just like that, the series is over. India have claimed the trophy once again. A lot to take from the two tests that have already been played. And as I speak, India have won the toss and have elected to bat first for the third test. But I might hand pass this one to Jackson. Jackson, your take on the first two tests and Australia's performance?
Well, I think plain and simple, Aussies have been a mess. They lost the first test by an innings. Actually on that, so Pat Cummins as captain has had three losses in his captaincy career. Two of those have been by an innings. That rate has been the highest ratio since Don Bradman 85 years ago. Mm-hmm. So if that indicates a captaincy change, I mean, at first I thought, he's the right pick for the captain, but just that stuff, those little nuances and everything like that, I feel he lacks that. I mean, it could come with experience, but when you're the best team in the world, you need to be playing like the best team in the world. And we're just not. Do
you think it comes down to his captaincy or more, I guess, like for me, I think the team selections, especially for the first two tests, weren't quite right with some players being selected over others. Do you think that could be a factor?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, that could be an issue. That could be a thing too. But that being said, Pat Cummins is also part of that selection committee. He should have raised his voice if that was the case. If he thought that it could go in a different direction, then he could have. I don't know who it was that thought of leaving Travis Head in that side to start off with.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
It's just I don't get it. And then also back on about losing by an innings. That's our second loss by an innings. And considering we're the number one, since we've been the number one test side, and it hasn't been done. No one's had more than two losses as the number one side in about a decade.
Just to defend Pat Cummins quickly, I don't think he's a selector.
He's part of the selection committee as captain. You're part of the selection.
Yeah, no, they changed it under Pup or Ponting. One of those two. They changed it so the captain didn't have to pick.
They must have a say.
They
might have a say, but they're not part of the select.
You see in the test series, Pat Cummins is always having discussions with, the selection panel and the coaches. The inner circle kind of get, they might get his opinion. Would you rather this guy play or this guy play? So he would have a say.
Yeah, they'd ask him his opinion, but I don't think he's the final call.
No, not the final call, but he'd have
even if it's probably not rare for him to say, I think this, and them say, well, I don't know, we might not. They wouldn't necessarily just listen to exactly what he wants. But, because they do a lot of analysis and stuff on it. Those guys, they know, they do analysis on the pitches, the averages there, against whatever bowlers, left arm, right arm, a lot goes into it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I definitely don't think that he was responsible for Trav Head not playing, but it was the wrong decision. Clearly, as the number 4 batsman in the world, not even giving him a crack.
Yeah, it's incredible. Lots of other countries would do anything to have a Trav Head, and we just didn't play him.
Even though his record overseas is average, this is a chance that he'll have the, sort of the best opportunity to be able to score runs. But going back to the captaincy sort of call, I know we've lost. I don't think it's that overly concerning that we've lost 2 by an innings. I know it's in a short amount of time.
7 months.
Yeah, I know, but we've won pretty much every other test in that time other than that. And we're going to be in the Test Championship final. I think India just passed us. But, look, you're going to have bad days. And I don't think it'll continue like that. And it's almost too early to judge whether Cummins is a good or a bad captain. But I'd be leaning more towards good than bad based on the team's results. And I
I've-
just don't think we've got selection right.
I feel
at
like
times.
Cummins hasn't been tested really with his captaincy, and then when we're playing teams like India, who are a challenge, he kind of gets found out a bit. South Africa and West Indies this summer weren't a challenge at all. And like in recent years, we've struggled to play India, whether that be home or away. So I don't know if that's just because they're a quality side and they're just better than us, or if it comes down to a captaincy issue. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, if we were to change captain, I wouldn't make it on the back of this series. You look at it, Michael Clark lost 4-0 in 2012 in India when he was skipper. Ricky Ponting would never skip a series win in India. It was Adam Gilchrist in 2004 who was captain. Even Steve Smith in 2017 even while Smith did some dodgy things as captain, he was still a decent captain. So if you change the captaincy, I don't think we should take it off India and India. It should be based off other series as well.
Yeah.
Because he's got a pretty solid record at the moment.
That being said, obviously, we haven't won in India for a while. But also, like, it's the way that we're losing as well. Like, it's not the fact that, we're fighting hard and we're losing. It's just that we're just losing our head. Like, you look at the second innings of the second test, like, we had this, we were doing all right, and then, and then we lose like 6-7 wickets in no time. And yeah, like, I think of when Ricky Ponting stepped down as captain, it was probably one of our worst test series in decades when England came over here and beat us by an innings 3 times in a row on home soil. Like, it was just,
Yeah, to that point though, is that more a captain thing or is it a coach thing? Because a lot of people have also been questioning, Andrew McDonald as coach. Maybe he's a bit too soft on the players. We've gone too far away from Justin Langer's temperament as a coach to a bit too soft, not pushing the players enough.
Well, yeah, it definitely could be that. I think, although, like, obviously, if the captain doesn't change, something needs to change within. Like, you can't just go through unscathed. Like, this is just an uncharacteristic performance. Like, you get losing and then you get this. Like, whether it's the captain, whether it's a coach, like, something's got to change. Like, and I just don't know. Like, if that's the case, I don't know what else is. Like, it's just got to be something from within that needs to change because we just can't keep going like this.
I just think it's a tough one because I feel like it's very hard to judge off this series. Yeah, we played bad, especially the first test. Like the second test, for the most part of it, we weren't things from the first test, and we're on top. And then we just had a shocker, like in terms of strategy and execution. They didn't get things right, but I don't think we've been dealt the best hand, this tour because we haven't. Cam Green, Stark haven't been fit. We've had to sort of just, even though you're going to play more spin, there's more spin dominant wickets, and you're going to play more spinners. We haven't had the pace bowlers really to pick from. Like we've had Cummins and we've had Boland to this point really, and it makes it tough, especially when they're players that play spin well, get on top of the spinner. Who do you can't really change to anyone else. So it's an interesting perspective and viewpoint, but like it's really tough. And historically, you don't really beat India in India, so it probably is more how you lose if you're gonna lose because they prepare the pitches for their players. They weren't letting the media in, and I know like people say every team will do that, but like they do it to the more extreme levels, and they pretty much prepare the pitch and the conditions so they can't lose.
Yeah,
Pretty
some
much.
of the preparation of the decks has been pretty stiff on the Aussie boys. You go over there and they're putting water on certain parts and making it hard for whether we've got left-handers or right-handers and where the footmarks are, and they sort of they can pick and choose a bit when it's over there. And it makes it like definitely pretty tough from that sort of viewpoint, I reckon.
And the first test was disappointing, but the second test we were a lot closer to winning that than what it looks.
It was
Like
just a batting collapse, really.
we had a shocking 45 minutes an hour. The rest of the test we didn't dominate, but we were certainly on top and had the upper hand. And were sort of beating them at their own game, and then we just sort of got away from what worked those first few days. So hopefully, I think this team's more ideal. The one we've selected for the third test, more would like. You could even add another pace bowler in there, would be handy, I think, rather than so many spinners. But I don't know. I feel like the measure of a good side is sort of how they bounce back from. Like the first test was disappointing, but obviously the measure of a good side, how you bounce back from a really disappointing result when you were in a winning position. They got the victory sort of just taken out of their hands pretty much. They saw the finish line and they sort of just wavered at the end. But I don't know. They're a very good side, India, and we've got a chance to still tie it up. It's a 4-test series, so we'll see what happens.
Well, yeah, hopefully we play cricketers and not janitors because, sleeping a lot there, I tell you. So.
But to be fair though, like I know we're a good team, but India, like
very good.
their whole side, just especially Jadeja, best all round in the world, can do it with the bat and ball.
Actually,
Like,
Patel's been hitting a lot of runs too.
yeah, but Jadeja's been doing it for a while now, consistently.
Yeah, they've got the best tail order in the game. I just saw the stat there. This series, they average their tail order average is 46.
Yeah, but yeah, Patel,
Australia's average is 10, and Australia's has the second best or most effective tail order in the last couple of years. India first, and the batting average is like 15 or 20 different still. Like India they've got a lot of strength.
they're on another level. But let's hope we do better in this third test, even though the series is over. We'll move on now to the NBA. Obviously, playoffs is around the corner, but a lot's been happening since our last episode. We've got a lot to talk about with LeBron, trade deadlines, players performing, and teams in the playoffs positions, teams fighting for it. But we'll start off with LeBron because I don't know how long ago, probably a few weeks ago, broke the all-time leading score record, passing...
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
That's the name. There's funny footage of him watching LeBron look so stressed, thinking, oh no, he's getting closer and closer to the record.
He's got him.
But the question that I guess is posed is he now the GOAT? We might start off with Jackson. Your take on this?
In short, no. I reckon it's at a point now where you can't really quantify the debate. So basically, no matter how many points LeBron gets, because we know he's going to play forever, like no matter the amount of points he gets and all that stuff, like I still think that MJ's still the GOAT. What MJ was able to do, in terms of how successful he was and what he did for the game and like just how well he did it. I just can't see anyone passing him at the moment.
Blair?
I've always been an advocate, Michael Jordan. He's my man. He's like behind. No, he's probably in front of Steph, but those are my two men. So Michael Jordan and Steph. So LeBron. Watch The Last Dance doco and tell me that LeBron's the GOAT.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, I agree with that.
MJ, it's different basketball to it was back then.
Yeah, 100%.
Very different. I reckon it was a lot harder back then. And I reckon that, MJ, forever, in my mind, he's the GOAT. So that's... LeBron is, what he's done is incredible. And to pass, the scoring is, and he's going to score a hell of a lot more as well. But, MJ for me.
Oh, I think MJ as well, but I think it's still pretty close. I think MJ didn't have to face the team that LeBron had to face for a couple of years with the Warriors. So I sort of give LeBron a bit of grace for that. But having said that, he should never have lost the first championship run in Miami against Dallas.
Yeah.
Like, he should have smoked out Dallas with D-Wade and Chris Bosh. But yeah, no, I still think it's very close. I think if LeBron wins another championship or two with the Lakers with this current roster, it might sway more to LeBron, but I still think MJ for me.
It's a really interesting debate, like the sort of the GOAT status, because I feel like there's more that goes into it than just like their on-field performance or like CV. I think sort of their likability as a player, like universally, is one of those things, and their ability to get sort of the best out of the team as well. So LeBron, obviously a remarkable player. No matter how long he played, if you're the leading point scorer of all time, it's plenty to hang your hat on, that's for sure. But I still think MJ as a GOAT for mine. His ability to, not single-handedly win the Bulls championships, but they obviously had Pippen and a few others. But he's a big reason of that, and they would have struggled to win games, let alone win championships when he was out, and that they did at times. But just his ability to win games, just from his impact and championships, points. He had a really all-round game as well. I think he's widely recognised. Yeah, probably still as a GOAT. And for mine, I'd still give him that, that sort of mantle.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you boys. I mean, they're both great players in their own respect, but yeah, I mean, MJ was the one that I think really changed basketball. But people look at, different points to settle the debate, but I look at it as in which Space Jam movie was the best movie? And the answer is the OG one, so MJ is the GOAT. Another question it poses is, will any current player in the NBA break this record, the all-time scoring record? I'll kick things off. If Luka continues to be, posting up the kind of scores he's getting consistently and is injury-free, he's the only one, I think, in the league who could possibly overtake LeBron. But again, he has to do it for another 15 seasons without getting injuries and being a consistent player. But if there's anyone who could do it, it's probably Luka.
I agree. I reckon Luka is the best chance. And that being said, I'll probably just extrapolate on it a bit more. LeBron has averaged 27, just over 27 points a game. Luka's got in there at the moment. Obviously we know LeBron's probably going to be playing for probably at least 3 years. He wants to play with Bronny. So I'll probably see him getting maybe around 41, 42,000 points if we're being realistic. So if that's like in the next 3 seasons. For that to happen, like for anyone to do that, they need to get 2,100 points a season for 20 years. That's basically numbers that we're talking. But the advantage of the players nowadays is that the 3-point shot is obviously becoming more prevalent. So it does give players the opportunity, to score quicker. And then if you add a 4-point line in there, then even more so, right? We obviously know the distance that players can shoot these days. LeBron had the advantage of coming straight out of high school. He didn't have to go that 1 year out of college. So that's a season already that, that he has over anyone else, like unless they change that rule. That being said, Luka, he's just turned 24. He turned 24 yesterday, right? He's 4th all time for points scored before turning 24. And if I'm looking at the numbers right, so he's just under 3,000 away from LeBron at that stage. So if he can close that gap, get within his prime, he's already getting to around 2,000 point seasons. If he can get that, then he's pretty close. It's going to be a close battle, I reckon. But yeah, it'll just depend, I suppose. Obviously there's all these different variables, like, if a player gets injured, like KD's second on that list. He was as close as anyone's got to LeBron, but he had all these ACL injuries and all that stuff. So that's the issue. It just depends. But Luka's probably the best chance.
Yeah, I don't see anyone doing it. I don't see it happening. I reckon, if you said LeBron's right now done, retired, not going to play again, you'd say, oh yeah, there's a chance. But I think that the fact that LeBron is still going to be, he's still going to be accumulating scores. He's still going to add to his points. It's not like right now. It's not like Luka's just going to be catching up to LeBron. He's still scoring points. He's still getting away a bit. I think the sheer amount of points he has scored over a long time, probably only takes. You said Luka's about 3,000 points behind LeBron at that stage. That's a season and a half, right? Based on that, and so he's going to make up a season and a half while LeBron's still scoring points without getting. He gets injured 1 year, done. That just blows out to 5,500. He's going to make up. I reckon injury's going to happen to him at some point, whether it's short or long term. And I reckon that I just don't think that he could go injury-free that long and make up that. And like, if anyone's going to do it, I think it's him, but I really don't see it getting done. I reckon LeBron will hold that for a long, long, long time.
Yeah, I'm similar to Blair. I think Luke is probably the best chance of the current mob to beat that record, but I don't think he plays enough games every year to break it. And, you look at it, like he's still playing a fair amount of games, 72 games, 61, 66, 65, 52. But if you compare that to LeBron's games played in his first couple of years, 79, 80, 79, 78, 75, Luka gets a couple of niggles every now and then, misses 10 to 15 games a year. I don't think he's going to be able to break that record purely based on injury.
Yeah, no, I agree. Definitely not it sort of in my time. It might happen one day. You never know what's going to happen that long into the future. There's going to be some good players to walk through the doors. But, I think LeBron, over his first 13 seasons, really, looking at this, he's played pretty much most of those seasons, he's played close to the full year. He's in the 70s, sometimes 80 games played every season, just about. And Luka's he's played a fair few games already, but he's already missed a couple, and it doesn't take much to sort of, go downhill. And, normally you get some, if he's going to have a career span of, Luka if he's going to have a career span of 20 seasons or 15 seasons, the chances are he gets a serious injury or two at some stage, and that's really all it would take for him not to be able to score enough points. But, and LeBron, like Blair said, still has a few years left, and he'll keep ticking over the points and accumulating them, which bridges the gap even further. So, it's tough to see anyone going past him, especially because, there's been a lot of players go before him, and for him to pass, those guys, it's quite an astonishing effort, really.
Definitely. But obviously an incredible achievement, and we'll see. Well, I guess the future awaits, and we'll see if anyone can overtake the record, but highly unlikely. We'll move on now to the trade deadline, which happened a few weeks ago as well. A couple of big players such as Westbrook moving to the Clippers, Kyrie moving to the Mavericks, KD to the Suns, Josh Hart to the Knicks. I mean, a few big moves, which have obviously helped some teams in recent weeks. But I guess we'll start with Mansell. Your take on a few of the big players and some of their moves.
Well, yeah. Obviously, the biggest one out of that is, you could say biggest two because it's disbanded one of the super teams in the competition. KD and Kyrie obviously moving from Brooklyn. Set a bit of internal issues there, forced them to move. But I think the main beneficiary when he gets back will be KD. Especially really great acquisition, obviously for the Suns. I think to be able to keep their big three in CP3, Booker, and Ayton in that side, as well as get KD, is definitely a huge benefit. But that being said, it does. It does get rid of their depth a little bit. Like they had to trade a few bench players, like Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, a few of those players they had to get rid of. So when you compare it against the top teams, I reckon that will be the problem towards the end. Like they could make a Western Conference Finals, but I can't really see them winning the championship if they don't have the bench there, because that's what it comes down to. When you get to those late stages, especially with the long season and everything like that, that's going to be the difference. Thoughts on that trade, boys?
I have no thoughts.
No, it's a big trade. It puts a lot of pressure on CP3 in particular. He's been quite famously mocked for blowing a lot of leads in playoffs and not really taking advantage of his chances. 37, he might be on the move this off-season. He's out of contract. He's not going to get a better opportunity to win the championship than right now. It'd be interesting to see how KD and Devin Booker go together, if they can still, because Devin Booker's quite good at getting a lot of shots off. It'll be interesting to see how he copes with KD. Well, he's going to be the number one man, KD, because he's Kevin Durant. whereas Devin Booker's always been number one in Phoenix. So it'll be interesting to see how that dynamic goes. But Kyrie to the Mavs, that's interesting. Good backcourt, but you never know with Kyrie what's going to go on. So it's quite interesting. And just a quick shout out to Rob Pelinka, the Lakers GM. I've given him a lot of hate over the last couple of years for not doing anything, but at the trade deadline, he did something quite. It was remarkable. Stroke of genius. So well done, Rob.
Yeah, nah. Look, if Phoenix can the Phoenix of the Suns. Nah, if Phoenix Suns can, if their main players can gel together, obviously there's a bit of egos there and a lot of good players and scoring threats. It'll just be about how they balance it out. But if they can gel together, they're every chance. And unfortunately, a few of these players have sort of ripped the heart out of the Brooklyn Nets side. And the Brooklyn Nets spine now is just completely gone.
It's broken vertebrae, C4.
Look, it's disappointing because the Nets, they were about third in the Eastern Conference, and a genuine chance if they kept all those players and played really well, a genuine chance. And now since we've lost KD, the record's not too flash. We've got a lot of handy players, but we don't have match winners. And, but it's fair to say the Phoenix Suns have come a fair way since losing to the Adelaide 36ers in the preseason. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about Josh Hart. I'm not going to be biased here, but I think it was a great trade. Knicks, since getting him a 6-0, beating Celtics yesterday.
Small sample size.
Well, Mansell definitely not happy with Celtics losing to the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean we've been a little bit shaky out of the All-Star break, but yeah, I mean we're just getting our starting five, like our proper starting five, playing together again. So,
but in the Eastern, other than Bucks winning their last 15, Knicks have won their last 6. They're now 5th, taking over Brooklyn. Your boys, Connor. And I tell you what, like I don't know, am I calling it too early? But I think my call before the basketball season was to Knicks to win at least their first round playoff if they make it. So
they've still got to win the playoff series.
Well, mate. Yeah, I got confidence. I reckon Josh Hart's only brought more strength into the lineup, and I don't know. I just feel like we've got great team chemistry, and it's obviously proving that because we've won our last 6 and we're looking really good.
Yeah, Brunson and Randall have been immense this year.
Yeah,
RJ Barrett helps out when he can. Emmanuel quickly, like sometimes as well. But
and they're all young. We're only going to get better. Promising signs for the Knicks. Lots been happening. So obviously we'll keep up to date with that. And then not lastly, but we'll quickly look at the AFL season. Obviously coming up in the next few weeks or so. But we are going to once again do a SuperCoach Draft. There was a hit last year. Great fun. But instead of mid-season draft, we're going to try and do it nice and early before round 1. So a lot to look forward to there. Boys, your thoughts, I guess. Performance from last year, I know his All Saints team didn't really work out for him. But picking Max King for his
I was about to say that's where it all went
wrong. That's where it all went wrong.
Picking
Picking Max King for his number 1 pick. But I guess your thoughts going into this year's draft. Are you going to change your approach of how you pick players? You're going to, a few players that you might look at that you didn't look at last year. Any new strategies?
Yeah, look, I'm going to go back to the archives. I'm going to look at last year's results, scores, players that went well, good pickups. I'm going to look at my little sheet that I was crossing off last year, my little Excel spreadsheet as well. I'm going to hit research really hard this year. I think fresh start to the season. Obviously, last year I wasn't too bad, but I wasn't too good either.
You're about mid-table.
Yeah, I was middle of the table. I had it. It was a chance to upset a couple of you big boys, but didn't really work for me. Injuries hit me pretty hard, especially in the forward line. It got to the point where I was, trying to ask for trades from you boys, and you kept turning me down. To be fair, they were pretty raucous trades. I was trying to ship off some bloke. He's played a couple of games for an absolute genuine star, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm keen. I feel like I could go better this year. I think, the draft, the way it worked, I think I got a bit stiff. I think I was the 5th one. I think I was the last one to pick every time, which, started me off wrong and just didn't get the run I wanted, really. But, I'm looking forward to redemption and, going to really brush up on the stats, research, prices, everything, and going to hit you boys hard. So, dubs for me.
Yeah, I can't say I'll be going to that effort for SuperCoach, but look, I think early last year I had to pick Marcus Bontempelli in the draft instead of Jack Steele because one of you boys nicked him. So I'll blame my losses on Marcus Bontempelli.
Well, I think Connor picked him, but he was injured. And he was filthy with the pick.
Who was it?
Your first pick was Jack Steele, but you got him when he was injured.
I think Connor picked him just so Hugo couldn't, and then realised he was injured.
And then Hugo picked Bontempelli, so I couldn't pick him. So.
Oh no, I remember. I think it auto-filled the first one for some reason because I didn't do it right or I stuffed up.
Question is,
which is not unusual by me. But
question is that Hugo, obviously, you've been doing SuperCoach for a while now, and I guess there's been no improvement over the last few years. Is that a you thing, or is that just, unlucky?
It's pure luck.
You reckon?
It's injuries.
Do you reckon maybe if you didn't pick as many Saints players, you might do a bit better?
Well, that's how I score. Like, they're the only players for me that score. Can't say any other club scores for me.
Don't forget the couple of Hawthorn boys.
Josh Wood and then Log. They'll make an appearance. Joshy will get a fair few points this year, I reckon. I reckon he's primed for a breakout year. It's a big fella. But I reckon I'll be going top 2, top 4 out of the 4 of us. But
top 4.
Top 4 out of the 4.
You'd be stiff to miss. No, I can provide some undercover information. The other day in class, I think it was using social media, I glanced across at Hugo's laptop and the SuperCoach team was forming. It was already formed. Didn't take much thought again. And I can confirm, very similar to last year.
Yeah, not surprised.
Actually, confirmation, identical, yeah. So it's all Saints and his 2 boys from the old connection. So, yeah.
Connor, how are you feeling going into the upcoming season?
Well, look, not overly confident based on results last season. I didn't really monitor it after we had that had the night, but look, I'm just a very mediocre contributor.
Agreed.
Things need to change. So
Go back to the drawing board.
yeah, we'll go back to the drawing board. I'm going to work hard and, like Blair said, do a intimate amount of research and really fine tune my skills and hone my craft and hopefully get a better result on a more consistent basis. But I think I've been screwed over by injuries most years.
I think where Connor lost it last year. To pick your entrance song as Toothbrush by DNCE. You lost it before you began.
Yeah, that
mate.
was shocking.
Like, we all had a bit of Akadaka and you've rolled into a little high-pitched song that looks like it should be played at a 13-year-old's birthday. And it was absolute rubbish and you're surprised you went bad, mate. That shook you.
Well, it's my pump-up song and I like it. It's what...
Mate, I've never heard you listen to that song ever.
Oh, I've listened to it many a time. And it really gets me going.
Well, it didn't on the night, mate.
It gets the juices flowing. I'd heard players at the Australian Open walk out to it many times and
I don't
go
think they
pretty
pick
well.
it.
Mate, we were all sitting there in disbelief laughing. Like, what the heck is this going on?
We had heavy pump up.
I just really like the song. It's not about intimidation, so
Yes,
to
it
speak.
is.
It's about getting yourself in the zone.
Connor,
And that's what I did.
It felt like 2017 Grand Final and you were texting the Adelaide Crows, mate. You lost it before you started. You tried to walk out to...
Tried to do the power stare.
You tried to set the tone with something that was not going to work.
No.
Both very similar.
You got it wrong on the night.
You got it wrong on the night. You weren't 100%. And then you picked up an injured Jack Steele as your first pick.
Shocking.
You just had a bad night.
I'm absolutely seething with this, guys. Like, this is not...
And later on the night...
It's a great song. Like,
It's a shocking song.
It's a great song. Well, for me, it is.
All
I
right.
love it. I love it.
Have a listen to it again and really listen
I
to
love
the
it.
words.
We'll
and think,
play it. We'll play it post episode and let's really, get around it.
And
But
then later on in the night, Richmond lost to Sydney as well. So you really had probably the worst night.
Oh, I want to be talking, Blake.
Yeah.
You had a
bit of a slip up.
You had a few too many CCs.
Off field, I had a few misdemeanors. On field, I
We've been
performed.
robbed right in front of me.
Yeah, well,
Plenty of
we don't
that.
have to detail that. Everyone's seen it on my timeline, so that's cool.
Yeah, what do you want from me? Do you want Akadaka? Do you want living on a prayer Bon Jovi? Like,
Actually, we'll leave it to the viewers. What do you want as Connor's entrance song for the
I love
SuperCoach Draft?
living on a prayer by Bon Jovi, and that does get you going and could intimidate fellow competitors. So it might be the go-to, but I just thought it made me feel good at the time and got me going. But well, clearly not by your boys. Far out.
Yeah. And obviously, I mean, Jackson has a different kind of role this year because he's part of the AFL, VFL system. He has to take a step back, but that gives me a bit of confidence because Jackson was our winner last year.
There's no simple way to put it. He was a sweat.
He was.
Mate, and far too much.
Look at these notes. Does that not tell you enough?
He
does his analysis.
Am I enjoying that Mansell can't talk about AFL? Absolutely.
I'm enjoying. I feel like I got a good chance this year, knowing that Mansell's out of the comp. But Mansell, you'll be hosting the night.
Yes, I'll be hosting the night. Obviously the boys will get to have breathe a breath of fresh air, knowing that I'm not in it because otherwise we know what's going to happen, like it did last year. Reigning champion. So. The boys better be on their toes, because when I've got the microphone, no one's safe. So,
no.
But no, it should be a good night. And we'll go from there. Can't wait for the season to start.
And last but not least, before we finish up, we've got it's called the Ultimate Athlete Series. Now, I didn't know about this, but apparently you boys, or some of you do.
I think Connor's been scheming.
Well, I want to know a bit more about this, and obviously we want to tell our viewers and listeners a bit more about, I guess, what this series is going to be about throughout the season.
Yep. So obviously, during the season, at some point, what we're going to do is, I put my head together and thinking, okay, how can we judge who's the best athlete in the group, and even though individuals might think that it's them, there is only one way to judge this. Yes, okay, I didn't want to say myself, but I do think myself. But,
That's definitely self-indulgence.
it was pointed out to me. Like I just had to finish the line, but
Pull the other leg.
So what we'll do is over the course of the year, we will will endure some challenges of sporting nature. We'll rotate around every so often, and different challenges to see who is the best. Obviously, Connor won our backyard cricket series last year.
I won it with the ball, so let's just take it easy.
Yeah, but
since when do you? Really
how do you win a cricket match? Most runs wins.
It's a grey area.
And he takes 7 for 49.
Most economical? No.
7 for 49.
2 for 20 off 10.
Oh, look,
2 for
let's all
10.
just agree to disagree, but let's just whatever, just move on.
I'm someone salty.
No, I'm not happy.
We'll be participating in different sports, we'll go from there. Let us know, obviously, what sports you want to see as well. We're open to suggestions. So that's pretty much how we're going to roll, coming soon to a theatre near you.
We'll obviously, put on our socials and video whatever we do. 3-point contests, goal kicking, running, whatever. It could be anything. But throw out any ideas if you have any sports that we should compete in and challenge ourselves in. But other than that, that's a wrap for this episode, for this part 2, all done and dusted. Thanks, boys, for joining me. To our listeners and viewers, thank you for joining us. Make sure to follow us on our socials, and we'll catch you all next week.